Thank you for that warm welcome, and thank you to the EnerGIS team for having me back this year. I was happy to be here last year, and just want to do a little quick shout out that a lot of what you're going to see here in my talk was in part inspired by seeing what Nodology was up to last year with their presentation, and so. You know, I know Anthony, I believe Anthony's here, so he'll be available to answer questions about what I talk about today as well. But I'm going to be here talking about a 360 video inspection app that we've applied to a monitoring use case. My name is Saville Iksic, as you know, and I work at Civic Mapper. I consider myself a geographer first and foremost. And a geospatial specialist is my role. I want to just kind of get a sense of who I'm talking to and what it is, your familiarity with being in the GIS system. So I'm curious, who here considers themselves a GIS user? Maybe you're in Pro every day, maybe you're in ArcGIS Online every day. Okay, be like a little more than half. And then of those people that didn't raise your hand, do you consider yourself a GIS consumer on a daily basis? Yeah? So is there anyone in here who didn't raise their hand? Do you know someone who is a GIS consumer in your company, or you would like them to be? I think most of us know the value of what geospatial data can do for creating understanding around a space, which is, you know, where I like to think of it as democratizing data, just giving the data to the people, but you have to be able to understand it, and that's where a good app comes in. So I'm just going to start with some food for thought. If one picture is worth 1,000 words, what do we get with video? And how about geospatial video? So real quick, I'll just go over what I'm going to talk about, give you a little bit of hello, a little bit of quick information about what Civic Mapper does and what we're all about. Then we'll get into the use case for the video app that we've put together and the unofficial problem that we're kind of answering with it. We've lovingly called this the Trail Captain solution, and so we'll get into the specifics of what was done here. I'll take a look at the technologies that came together to make it possible, kind of go over the variations on this theme of, you know, video inspection, using video, talk about some related use cases, and then some final thoughts. So Civic Mapper, many of you probably know who we are, but in case you don't, this is just like a snapshot of what we're involved with. We're geospatial data experts. We like to bring data to our clients in a way that they can use and digest easily. And that often results in creating web apps. You know, there's simple web apps and more complex web apps, you know, as the last speaker was talking about. So we have developers that kind of do that back-end thing. I am not one of those people, but I did most of this project, you know, with some help. So there's lots that's possible with web apps. Okay. The use case. So we were involved as, brought on as consultants to be the data consultants and kind of help supervise and support data collection for 35 miles of trail in the Pittsburgh area. Some of you might know the trail. It's the Three Rivers Heritage Trail. We were also working with two subject matter experts, an ecologist and an engineer, to help create an assessment of the trail understand its status vis-a-vis nature and the structures therein. So, it's our first, when you get a sense of, okay, 35 miles of trail, data collecting, high detail, it was, quickly evident that the unofficial problem was to help cover lots of ground. How could we make this collection process more tenable, more efficient, and just move the project along in a manageable way? So here's a little, not sure what just happened. You see that, but you don't. Let's see. Just a moment. Give me a moment. I'm going to just pull up a separate tab here, because that means my videos aren't going to work. I am not connected to the internet, even though I was. My apologies. Going to reconnect. So in just a second here, I'm going to pull up a snippet of the application that I'm talking about. Let's just see if that wasn't the whole problem. Okay, there we go. It's happier. So this is a snippet visualization of a more complex environment. So we're, bringing the field to the office, in short. We, add this deep context to the problem at hand. Not everyone involved in a project is going to be part of going out into the field. It increases access. So people at different levels, stakeholders, and we also kind of lengthen the ability, the time frame for which people can be in the field, right? They're not confined by, weather. You can revisit this information long after. And again, visualization of the data, of the space, of the context is, obviously a huge component with video. Okay, so some of the values that I'll expand on here. So this context visualization, you can see the field before. This can be a preliminary field visit tool. This can be used by subject matter experts to kind of get a sense of what they're up against, what's out there. Is there an area in this area of interest that's going to require a lot more time, a lot more effort? Maybe I need to bring in, additional help for this leg of the trail, for example, so that preparation for the field visit is enhanced. They can also go back to the field without having to get out there physically. You know, they're looking over at some notes and saying, you know what, I made this note, but I don't remember exactly what that was all about. I can just take a look at, you know, my application here and go back to that space, take a look around and say, oh yes, that's what was going on, that's what happened. So giving that context in that sense of kind of verifying what they were looking at previously. And eventually we'll get to, this was kind of developed with the field collection support in mind, but it's also great for supporting and visualizing final data, report data, kind of giving that context to the end report reader to kind of understand what they're looking at better. And it's non-GIS user friendly. So again, you know, a lot of us are in there, but there's a lot of folks that we work with that they just kind of feel disconnected from the map data. We all can use our, you know, can make use of a video and, you know, gain the context the rich context that gives. And it also can serve into help future projects. So this, you know, you do this data collection process of capturing the video, and you can continue to use it with future subject matter experts, or, you know, you're planning for a future project. They can also get a better sense of the area of interest and, you know, how to best price whatever that project might be, whether it's, you know, maybe it's new sidewalks or lots of different applications that can be served by the video. And again, a temporal record. There's lots of use case examples for, you know, we're getting this baseline, but this can be a process, this data collection process can be something that's taken on by your internal team to kind of create this record, this ongoing record of how things are changing along this linear infrastructure over time. Maybe you are, maybe there's a vegetation management project that's happening and you want to kind of see how this is evolving year after year, maybe quarterly, maybe there's a more frequent regularity with which this linear infrastructure needs to be reviewed more closely. Okay. So I have a couple videos. They're, you know, some of them are a little long, so I might, you know, cut us short, and I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of narration so you can kind of make sense of what I'm doing with my mouse, but feel free to ignore me as well. This is just like a video snippet of me going in, not as a subject matter, with not necessarily a particular purpose, but just kind of showing some of how the app can be used. So this was used with connecting with YouTube videos. So they're up there unlisted. No one can really find them, but it's a great space for holding that data. It's, you know, brought in and fed. I can, you know, up the visual as best as YouTube will let me, and my collection camera created. You know, here I'm taking a look around at the trail surface condition, kind of taking a look. You know, maybe I'm like, okay, what's happening with the trees over here? Just kind of getting a sense of the lay of the land. You know, I see some wall structures. And I have the overview, which was captured with drones. So we have this baseline drone imagery as the basis as well. So we can kind of zoom in from that perspective and also kind of flesh that out with the 360 video. I can look around, I can stop, I can slow this video down to be half time, quarter time. You know, maybe I need to, you know, fill out my my database, and, you know, I'm at the beginning of collecting my geospatial features, and I can use this to kind of come back like, okay, here's a park bench, and, you know, this is where the wall is, and I have all of that here. It's just a matter of, you know, pointing and clicking, and I can add attributes on the bottom right here is a little editor widget that we put in. Okay. Okay, so you've seen a little bit of the Trail Captain solution. What it's comprised of, the recipe, if you will, for this is, having that baseline data, that baseline imagery of, what's the status of this this infrastructure right now. We capture that with the drone, and then we enhance the perspective, right? Giving a greater context that in a format that is digestible by just about everybody of with that 360 video. And then we're adding insight and verification opportunities for the collection process with that pre and post visit use case scenarios. We've got an editor widget built in there so that you can again put points in before you go out in the field that you want to navigate to. Maybe there's a couple of structures that you saw in the video that I really want to check how sound those structures are and make sure I don't miss them along in that collection process. Or for after the fact, or just field collection from the desk where you're going through and maybe you're just going through and I need to just get my assets in there, basic, plop them down. Here's all the park benches, here's all the trash cans, here's all the walls, here's all the lights. And you can do that because it's all there and you don't have to send anyone out into the field. And again, the report visualization tool, as I talked about. So this starts at Station Square, kind of take a look around and you see some, emergency responder phone there. I'm in like a very concrete area and I want to take a look at the trees. So I can move along on my map below, kind of zoom in and, oh, here's a corridor of trees. I can jump up through the video, pop over to there and take a closer look at that. So, again, this sense of saving time of being in the field, I can be on the south side and then on the north side and then, in a bunch of places all in the span of 5 minutes. If I need to check my notes and go back to those, different sides of the rivers, that's going to take, at least a full day to get all around. This is over on Hearst Island. It starts at the beginning of my little video clip, and then I again move it up to where I want to take a look. This, I believe before I looked in this was like an area with high invasive vines, and so I kind of zoomed in to take a look there, and so I can put taking a sense of where I'm looking at, and so I can put that note in there on the map and add that to my overall data collection and assessment. Okay, so what technologies are being used here? So this is a combination of a handful of things. It's, the baseline, bottom end of things is ArcGIS Online. Starts with a web map with reference layers. And we've, published up the drone imagery as tile layers that are also hosted on ArcGIS Online. The 360 videos, you can see those, the line feature class on the map as the dashed line you might have seen. And that, within that is the link that brings in the YouTube video in our video widget, which again is created by our friends at Nodology. Had a lot of great help from them in kind of putting this together. Again, we use the YouTube videos because it's a nice way of hosting the videos, but any MP4 format works. And there's a handful of new developments in the works on their end, which are exciting, and I'll maybe mention a few. And it also, this whole thing comes together. I take my web map and I'm using it in the Experience Builder in the Developer Edition. And so that's where I'm able to access the video widget, the viewer. And I don't know how experienced you are with Experience Builder, but it offers a great user experience for the end consumer of the data. There's lots of versatility, lots of different widgets that you can kind of again serve up the GIS data in a very usable, tangible way. And then we packaged up the app for consumption via a web link through. So this is me kind of honing in on some structural elements. Again, we were working with an engineer and an ecologist. The engineer was looking at structures. You can really slow this down. I can just, I'm just going to scan the wall. I'm going to take get a big picture sense of what's happening here. Are there issues? I see color variation. I'm not a subject matter expert, but this still, we are seeing what they would see, and what they would see is certainly more than I would be able to call out, but the resource is there for accessing at will. I think I'm okay, and then we turn down, this is a very practical also use for taking a look at surface conditions, understanding, whether these sections that are paved need to be repaved, or, what is the degree of disrepair can be really made easier with this process. So not only do you have this like record of verification, you can go back, you can revisit it, it supports reporting, and again, it just simplifies the field collection process. So I think I saw a piece in the video where I'm like, oh, I want to check out, what's happening at that, right out from under the bridge. Let's go and return, and I see, I want to put a point right here. Kind of a little bit of a hazard, but I want to put that on the map. So our brains are wired for visual processing. We absorb information faster from images and videos than we do from tables or numbers. They engage our cerebral cortex, and it makes the data that you're dealing with more memorable and relatable. And so I'll take a look at this in just a second. This is kind of a secondary version that takes a look at the assessment data, and so we've taken out the editor. This is for viewers only to kind of get a sense of, okay, here's the problem areas. Well, what does that mean? What does high invasive tree species look like? What does the poor structural surface look like compared to the fair structural surface? And so they can go in and take a look and really kind of understand the data in a way that a report cannot offer. We've got our legend on the left that I pop over and get out of the way after a moment here. I've got the lack of the lower canopy cover, lower canopy density in the fatter green, the invasive species high areas in the fatter red, and then the more problematic structural areas in the fatter purple. So here I'm looking over out at the river. You can see my field of view. Again, so I see on the map, this is kind of an area with higher invasive species of different sorts. So there was a couple categories for that measure. Kind of dialing in to see what's happening. It has a nice auto pan feature, so the map is moving, you know, with me as the video is moving. So I'm always kind of in the right place on the map. And again, you know, this can be kind of changed and I want to say personalized for, you know, different use cases for different end users, different functionality depending on what the needs for the project are or for the particular part of the project. So variations on a theme, again, coming back to this notion that, you know, while the overarching concept of integrating the video and imagery into the visualization of geospatial data remains the same, the solution itself is highly configurable. It can be adapted to meet the needs of different industries, different audiences, and different objectives. So you're not beholden even to one type of video. We use the 360 video here because we liked what that offered for this use case. But there's other instances like perhaps a pavement assessment, where just a straight video kind of angled at the pavement makes a lot of sense. That's, you know, that's the focus of the project, and, you know, that's totally doable. We'd like to try using drone video. You know, drones can follow objects, so they could, you know, be shown to, you know, follow the biker or however you're kind of going along your corridor, and you could have the nice steady video of the drone, and still images are an option. Dual capture is an interesting option too. We looked at, we did a few things with quick capture that you can do while you're kind of just taking the video on the bike. And Nodology is kind of looking into what can be done with AI-assisted voice-to-feature capabilities. And there's always, you know, you build this setup and you can bring in and like add to your database and resource and supplement your authoritative data with crowdsourced data. You know, maybe you're looking at green stormwater infrastructure and you want to kind of understand what's happening with your infrastructure at a storm event. If people know where they can submit a cool video of like some crazy weather situations, that will only kind of amplify the data you have and the picture you have of what's going on with your assets. And quickly, this is a few comparable use cases. I spoke to some of them already. Sidewalk inventories, pipeline, right-of-way management. We're working with a client right now on a similar type project and using deep learning models to kind of identify issues, objects along the right-of-way that need to be addressed or just known or understood why they're there. And again, this change over time, it kind of lends itself to kind of being this record in time that you can kind of add on and kind of get a sense of how things change. So yeah, being able to visualize in this way frees the data from the limits of the map. I love maps, but not everyone kind of feels comfortable getting in there and you know, playing around with the data. This kind of engages them, and it kind of pushes them to kind of move and engage with that data more. Video and imagery gives us rich data. It tells stories. It helps people connect with the data, and decision makers are better able to, you know, bring context to the situation and the decisions that they have to make when they're able to understand the data well. So I will leave you with the question. Have you thought about how video can enhance your next collection project?